Welcome, everybody, to the Evolve Podcast. I am Jesse.
And I'm Ryan. Nice to see y'all again.
It's good to be back here again. And obviously, I'm with a much cooler person than myself here.
That's right. For those of you that are just listening at home, I have sunglasses on right now. And I was just telling Jesse, it's incredible to me how... I can't hear anything you're saying.
He wanted to wear headphones so it looked like it was more of an official podcast. Let me tell you guys, there's nothing going through those headphones here right at all.
Yeah.
Caught.
Busted.
Anyway,
I was just telling Jesse about how it's unbelievable how hot sunglasses make a girl. I'll see a girl and half her face is covered with sunglasses, and you just think, God, there must be the hottest freaking person.
The right kind of sunglasses, though, right? I mean,
no,
some of them
doesn't
can make
matter.
them look.
I almost think they could hide behind a billboard, and if you just saw their body, you go, man, there's a hot face hiding behind that billboard.
It adds to the mystery. I'll give you that.
It definitely does.
There could be something behind there.
I'm telling you.
But what about the big, goofy?
The more face it covers, the better, because it just leaves that much more face to your imagination. And 95% of the time, I got this supermodel hiding out behind these this greenhouse, and she takes off her sunglasses, and it's like back to normal. Like she's a real person, and she's not nearly like the person that I thought she was.
Shit, let's go back to the Middle East. Let's cover women up all the way up.
Hey, I'm telling you, they got something figured out there.
There is something to that. I mean, I don't know though. If you couldn't see anything, imagine a world where you'd walk around and there was no skin showing of any kind. You really just saw, how about that? Just eyes of all women. You couldn't. Everything was just a black cloak.
Right.
Fascinating.
I just think it's so funny that this is really messed up to say this.
Well, we are on a podcast for the internet. What better place to say it? By the way, I feel like I'm taller than you, and I gotta shoot down here.
Well, I'm really comfortable.
All right, there we go.
There you go. I did just go to an art show at the LACMA, and they had a whole Middle Eastern, it was a whole Persian section, whatever. And they had this whole photography section of women that wear the, what are they called? Where they wear the thing that just shows their eyes.
Well, I was gonna say the burqa, but I don't think it's called the burqa. I think that's what the men wear, isn't it?
All right, I'm not sure. The ghost.
Ignorant white people here.
The ghost costume with eye holes in it.
Sure.
That thing.
Yeah, it works.
And it's funny, every single woman they pictured in there had a full-on unibrow. I mean, it was like you took a Sharpie marker and just drew a line across above their eyes. I'm just thinking, it's the one part that you're showing on your body. Why aren't you grooming that?
I wonder what that means for them culturally. The unibrow, that doesn't probably deal with.
They probably don't notice it.
I don't think so. Everybody has it.
It just goes to show you that even though that's all women are looking at, even though that's all women are showing in that country, guys in that country are still checking out their tits.
Oh, God.
That's all that can mean. Because I just don't understand. I'm just thinking, if I'm just showing my eyes, you better believe I'm going to do everything I can to make my eyes the most beautiful part of my body. That's, and they, just a lack of regard there for people.
Come on, people, get it together. Be ashamed of yourself. Now, I wonder what it is. I wonder what it is over there if unibrows are kind of not so stigma as they are here. I mean, here it's just, you might as well just put a fork in it. You're done, Just, put yourself in your own sexual casket. You're going away.
That's true. Have there ever been any celebrities that have unibrows? I mean, big bushy
American
eyebrows,
Westerns? No. Yeah, bushy's good. Bushy can be good.
No,
But
good.
no.
It's good. But it happens. It exists.
It's memorable. It sticks out. No, I don't know. It's fascinating, though. So what else is going on in your life?
So I do have to tell you about this girl that I met the other night. So I'm telling you, I don't know where this all comes from, and I'm not here to trash people, but this is extraordinary. I have about the most extreme dating resume background or whatever there is. I dated a pregnant woman. I just have dated some interesting folks, and this one is top of the heap. Met this gal at a bar, at a club actually, in Hollywood, and she was gorgeous. God, she came up and I got her number, and I called her a couple days later, and she had been trying to add me on Facebook, and she couldn't add me, and so I asked her. We've been already talking for 15 minutes.
Why couldn't she add you?
That's the thing. It was back and forth where she couldn't she couldn't find me, And I gave her my email address and my full name and all that stuff. She couldn't find me, and I tried finding her, but hers is blocked. So we've already been talking for like 15 minutes, and I was like, hey, by the way, like, what happened with the Facebook thing? Were you able to? She's like, oh yeah, I found you. It's like, oh, but I didn't get an ad. And she said, well, yeah, I'm not. I
just found you.
I can't add people on Facebook.
Interesting.
I was like, what do you mean you can't add people? She said, well, my fiance would beat me if you found out that I was Oh.
Fascinating.
Oh, okay.
I like this.
Yeah.
I'm already intrigued.
So then, I'm just like blown away. You're engaged? She said, well, yeah, but he's in prison, so. So, so you fill in the blank.
Exactly.
Right? So, that's basically it. He was in prison.
Well, I gotta know what you asked after that, obviously. What did you say?
It was my whole reaction was like,
shock and awe.
Oh, okay. And she's like, yeah. So I understand if you don't want to talk to me anymore. But I'm like, yeah, duh. Of course I don't want to talk to you anymore.
So you weren't interested in her at any level?
Before that, I was.
Before you were? Okay.
Yeah. But
that was enough, though. You were like, no matter how interesting you were, if you were like the most coolest, interesting, beautiful, gorgeous person I'd ever met in my life, that scenario would just cut it off. You're just like,
I wish I could describe you how nice her skin was. She was very good skin. Right. That was it. Yeah, I'm not really interested in dating anyone that has already proved, her fiance has already proven that he'll do what it takes to make his point. She'd been with him for 5 years, and I think he went into prison at 17. He'd been in prison for 5 years. He started at 17. So whatever it was that he did, they tried him as an adult. So that means that this guy.
So they'd been engaged since he was 17, or when did they
I guess
get engaged?
the story is that he was sleeping with her, and then while they were together, he got someone else pregnant, and then started with that person and left her. And then when he went into prison, his baby's mom or whatever left him, obviously, and so then it was like back to her, like, oh great, you're not dead.
You're still around, right?
Yeah.
What's going on over there? Nothing much. Cool.
So that guy hit the jackpot. He just won the lottery. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I mean, you must have he must have a huge dick or like some incredible game to hook. I mean, I'm telling you, this girl was.
Why do you think it's all on him?
Well, I don't understand.
Say something more about her?
Yeah, it says something about her, but like, why is she why is she on with him? He's in prison. What can he give her? Conjugal visits?
Basically.
By the way, can you have sex in a conjugal visit?
Supposedly, from the movie Office Space.
I mean,
and if one thing we've learned, movies don't lie.
That's right. It's on TV. It has to be true. No, but everything I've seen as far as prison goes, you're not allowed to touch anyone. So afraid you're going to pass a file back and forth.
I would imagine it depends probably where you're at. I would think if it's like high stakes or whatever, then yeah, you're probably not allowed to talk and touch people. But minimum security, I don't know. They probably give you rooms and stuff. So
rooms. Boy, 17. That's probably better than in his parents' place.
Prison's not that bad for people who don't have shit going on in their lives,
true.
man.
That's true.
Anyways.
So
that just killed it. You just
killed
it.
You're
just like, okay, thanks for.
But I did pick her brain for a good.
That's what I'm saying. Like that richness right there of life, you got to find out.
Yeah, totally. It turned out like I guess he was supporting her financially because her mom had a gambling problem, and so like
that explains a little more.
There, it was like she's like, yeah, so I'll just never leave him.
He's her pimp.
Okay,
got it.
But I'm not about to like. I mean, I didn't even know her. Yeah. Actually, it was funny because like, I don't know. We've talked a lot about this. Like, I'm so terrified of dating somebody that I like have to get out of it. Like, this girl, she lives in Pomona, which I looked it up on Google. It's like 45 minutes away. And I'm like, I don't really know you, so I'm not going to invest in like. Why don't I just invest in someone that's closer? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, as soon as I got on the phone with her, I was like, all right, well, talk to you later. Like trying to get off because. And then this whole bombshell of the fiancé in prison thing came out, and that's what kept us talking.
Oh wait, so the interest level was kind of dwindling before she even pulled that out.
Oh yeah, because
got it. Okay.
I mean, only because of this, because she lives in Pomona.
But you just called her just because I got a number.
Find out where she lives.
Oh, you didn't know? Got it. Okay.
Yep. So, because we were talking about on the last podcast, we were talking about how far would you drive,
right,
to get laid or whatever, and like. I'm not just looking to get laid necessarily, but like when you don't know the person and like all it is just attracting them in a club.
Right.
And yeah, that's basically that's all that is
Mm-hmm.
until you start an emotional.
Especially the chemistry when you first met her in the club, was there a lot of high emotional connection, or was there more just like a physical dancing and that kind of thing?
Physical.
Yeah, that
like literally, she was walking up to me to talk to me, and before she even said anything, I said to her, "Oh my God, you are beautiful."
Mm-hmm.
They never said that to me.
Right.
That's what came out of my mouth.
Involuntarily.
So yeah, no, that was our connection. Was that I was attracted to her.
Yeah. So your stakes are already pretty. I mean, your commitment level is pretty low.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, Mona, I don't know. And then with the engagement thing, so but of course I got a text message the next morning saying good morning.
What did you write back?
Tis. No, I didn't write anything back.
You didn't? Okay.
I didn't respond.
So you're just going cold turkey?
This guy's gonna cold turkey. Yeah, this guy's gonna come at me with a shovel. I mean, that's.
How long is he in for? Do you know?
I don't know. He's been in for 5 years.
She didn't say like when he's getting out.
I should have conference called you because you would have known the questions to ask. I'm like such a chick, dude. I'm like.
Well, there's ways to get around this. There's totally ways to get around. So if I were in that situation, I really wanted to get with this girl, knowing that she had this boyfriend. First of all, we'll never come to my place. Like, we'll never have a date at my place. We'll never spend the night at my place. My place is not even in the equation. I'm homeless for all you know.
Right.
I don't have a place, you know? So, like, there's certain things that you have to keep anonymous with something like that.
Which just locks you into driving out to Pomona every time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's too far.
Yeah,
so whatever.
That's way too far. I'm like, yeah, if I can't, like, throw a rock at your place, like,
right.
Next.
It's interesting. You could also just be completely like, what are you doing? Like, okay, you got this boyfriend. Like, you could almost have been, because at that point when you feel like you have nothing to lose, why not be honest with somebody and say like, all right, I'm obviously not interested in hooking up with you. It's over. Now I want to find out what the hell's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know? Like, okay, your needs are not being met because your guy isn't with you. Right. So you are trying to get your needs met.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about this guy that's like keeping you around?
That's what I'm saying. He must have a big dick. or some.
But when I say that, but I don't mean to like really like as if this guy's doing something right. I mean that
he is.
Kind of sneakily.
He's got her figured out.
Like I'm sneakily asking that question. Like I'm asking, what's wrong with you? Like why are you staying with this guy? What is it about you that's like?
She had some fucking baggage. I'm telling you. Like,
yes, yeah.
She was telling me that everyone in her family is.
Poor girl.
Yeah, she was saying that everyone in her family has like gone to prison or.
So she's just part of the system.
So she said they're having like you're out parties all the time.
There you go. That's her reality.
Her nuclear family is not that way. Like I guess she had a pretty nice like close family, mom and brothers.
Right.
And her mom had a gambling problem, and that's where this guy came in. He was supporting. Telling you, I'm looking for the good ones. Still on the prowl. Any good women?
That's fascinating, dude. Well, it's funny. It reminds me of I don't think I told this story in the last podcast. Sorry if I did, but I had a date 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was somewhat similar in that I was really highly physically attracted to this woman, and she was Latina, and like that's like my weakness, you know. So she had the curves, and she was a little bit older than me, so she was just as far as like physically, she was like my ideal kind of woman. And we went out. I took her to like a bar up in Hermosa. It was a cool bar that actually, at a certain time, it turns into a dance club. But beforehand, it's actually a restaurant lounge. And if you get there early enough, there's actually a line that forms outside, and they start charging like $10, whatever, to get in. So if you get there before the crowd gets there, you can have some food, you can relax, and then you can just stay there for the dancing, and you don't have to worry about the line or the cover or anything. So I figured, cool. And our connection, kind of when we first started talking, was just about how I like to dance a lot. I like to go out dancing, and she's like, awesome, I like to dance too. I like the salsa. I was like, oh shit, you gotta teach me. I want to learn how to salsa. Yeah. So same thing. So we went out and.
Where did you meet her?
Online, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, online. So and we had one coffee date beforehand, and so we got to know each other. But it was kind of interesting that like my interest level was purely physical because there was no mental connection at all. I mean. There was like on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 2. I mean, there was something there, but it wasn't enough to get excited about. It was just like she just looked so good, man. So I got hypnotized, and I decided, all right, we're gonna go out again. Maybe it was just like a fluke. Maybe she was nervous. There could be something more. Guys do this. We rationalize. Right, totally. If they're attractive, we just kind of minimize all the stuff we're not into. Whatever. You make excuses for them. We'll totally do that.
Yep.
But if it's the opposite, then no. Like if we're not attracted, then we just like there's no excuse for that.
Right. You can have the strongest emotional attachment in the world, but if she is disgusting, you're just like, the fuck? No. This girl, I don't care how much charity work she does or how sweet she is or wonderful or whatever. There's something really lacking. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's something just not.
We're crazy, man. Men are men, though. There's no mystery.
Anyway, so continuing.
So anyways, so the whole date, though, she's kind of complaining about how she wishes the place had more people. It's kind of a weird thing to say, like, you know, where's everybody? How come there's nobody here?
Right.
So, well, it's kind of early still. We're just, you know, having some food. Like, you know, I don't know. I didn't want to go to a place where we couldn't hear each other. It's
like it's your bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, okay,
There's
yeah,
a
you're
lot
right.
of pressure that's put on us to have the good date. Like,
I don't know. I guess so. So I just didn't understand that complaint. I was trying to like, oh, did you want to go to a place that was like more crowded that we had to wait for a table? Like,
right.
What are you talking about? Like, you don't like it quiet or something? God forbid us have a conversation.
Right.
You know, like God, you know. And my philosophy with dating is kind of like, if you can't just be in a quiet environment and enjoy each other without anything else going on, then there's nothing there at all, you know? So filling a date up with all these distractions and things, it's like, you can kind of waste a lot of time.
It's funny because, like, I always try to fill my dates up with as many possible distractions as possible because I just figure that most people don't know how to talk anymore. And it's just going to be awkward anyways, so we may as well, like, have fun. Like, I at least may as well have fun, like, hiking or doing something, like, kinesthetic.
Which is interesting because that's important to you. Like for a partner that you want to be with, you want to be able to be with somebody that can keep up, that wants to be active, that wants to be outdoors. So you're actually kind of like immediately going to the test of like, are you an outdoorsy person?
Yeah, but the only reason that I do that, obviously I want to have someone that I can talk to and stuff.
Right.
But like the only reason I plan those sorts of dates is because
to get around the awkwardness.
Terrified of the awkwardness. Like just sitting across the table from somebody going, "How's your salad?" "No, there's supposed to be tomatoes in it, but they didn't. Do you want me to ask you later?" "Oh, no, it's okay."
I mean, your conversations don't end up like that ever, though.
No.
Ever. And if it does, you're done. You're like, this is not working out.
Yeah, but it's just the risk of it ever ending up like that I'm like so terrified of. That is my worst nightmare.
Really?
Is sitting across the table from someone. Yeah.
But you're so good with awkward situations, though.
Yeah, I'm good with them, but they're still awkward. I don't like being in them.
I think they're fun. Like, you know what's fun about awkward? Yeah, it's not
fun to be in it. It's fun to watch someone else in it. That is fun.
Well, it's fun to laugh at yourselves while you're in it or something. I don't know. Sometimes, like, if you can get... That's what I think. If you can get to a point with somebody where you can be comfortable enough to, like, laugh at yourselves about being awkward around each other, it's totally a bonding moment. That's a real intimate bonding moment right there.
That's true.
Because you're basically both saying that, like, I'm not completely comfortable with you yet, but you guys are both kind of acknowledging that in each other, which is, like, so honest.
That's fine, but that's something you can have with someone that, you know, I think that most people are terrified to be so far from their cell phone or from Facebook or to be unplugged for that little amount of time or whatever.
Right.
You know, like, I think people have lost this ability to communicate and, like, you know, I don't know, like...
And you wouldn't be interested in somebody who's like every 5 minutes. Right. Oh, let me put this on Facebook. You're like,
that's true.
You're a boring person.
But the thing is that like I'm almost like I'm so scared of ending up on a date with someone like that I'd almost just assume like stay home and jack off.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Anyways, okay, so continuing the story. She's complaining. She's not having a good time. Finally, we move inside. We were outside eating dinner. We move inside and we have a drink and the music starts playing. The DJ shows up. They start clearing the tables out. And they start playing music that I like, which is kind of house music, trance music, that kind of thing. And, of course, she doesn't like the music. I don't like this music. Like, it needs to be faster. It needs to be vocals. Where are the vocals? There's no singing on this. You know, I don't know. Maybe they'll get around to it. And so I kept on trying to, like, grab her hand and say, hey, we got to go dance. We got to go dance.
What is she hoping that will come of these complaints? Like, you're going to fix it? Like, oh, hey,
well, that's what I'm trying to, like... Exactly, yeah. I didn't understand it. Well, then I started to, like, think about it. I was like, no, she's just saying that, like... Because the whole idea of the date was like, let's go dance. That was the whole thing. It was like, yeah, going out to eat or whatever was part of the beginning part of it. But really, like, I want to dance with you. And I want you to see, like, how I dance. I want to see how you dance. I want to teach you stuff. You can teach me stuff, that kind of thing. Yeah. That was the whole point of it.
Jesse's a very, very good dancer.
No, terrible. Yeah, well, white. But I try. And so what she was really saying, I think, was that, like, I don't know if I want to dance yet. And I don't know. I think everybody does that. When you're not really wanting to do something, you'll figure out ways to say, like, I'm not really ready to do that. But you don't want to just own it and say, like, I'm not comfortable. You want to put it on something else. Like, the music's not good enough, or it's not crowded enough. There's nobody else dancing. That was the other thing. There's nobody else dancing. We can't dance.
Right.
What a silly thing to say. Like, we can't dance because nobody else is dancing. Like, we can dance whenever we want, you know?
Right.
So, I tried to, like...
You know, that is... A lot of people can relate to that. Like,
absolutely.
And you've gone through...
Absolutely.
Like, you went through this whole thing of you wanted to be able to go out dancing by yourself, and you actually went through a thing where you were going to dance floors and starting the dance floor by yourself without
Right.
even like a friend to.
For moral
accompany you
support,
or
you're
whatever.
just
You
like
just
totally
make-
making an ass of yourself.
Well,
Just doing it.
there was a while there that I'd call Jesse and I'd say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he'd say, "Oh, no, I'm going out dancing by myself tonight."
Mhm.
And this was like this major hurdle that you had to overcome.
Right.
But I can definitely relate to like that. Sounds terrifying to
It is.
start a dance floor.
It is, yeah.
And
But it gets easier.
I've done it with you, so
Yeah.
it's like not as big a deal anymore. But like, yeah, it's.
Did you try it yourself? Have you ever tried it yourself?
I'm not trying it myself.
Why not?
That doesn't interest me.
Let's run through this. What's the worst? Well, we will get to the end of the story because it's a great story. But what's the worst that could happen if you went out by yourself and just was like, whatever, I'm having a good time. I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and people see you having a good time, and then they want to come out and dance.
The worst that could happen.
What's the worst?
Probably the worst that could happen would be like someone, like I got just so intoxicated by all the attention I was getting on the dance floor that I started pushing anyone out and trying to dance on my floor. Like, get out of here! This is my floor. Dance.
What about this was an invitation? Come on now, this is a show. You don't just get on stage when people are performing now.
Just afraid of my own narcissism taking over. You know.
Got it. All right. Well, that's honest.
No, I don't know what. I just don't. I
You'll feel
guess
silly,
nobody
right?
wants to be that guy.
Right.
There's always that fucking guy that's like it makes you uncomfortable to even watch him dance because he's doing these like weird gyrations of his body that like the beat is always like somewhere on a curve of his body and stuff.
Right.
It's just like what? Get that guy out of here. Nobody wants to be that guy, and nobody thinks that they're a good dancer. I think that's probably part of it.
So you just want to. You're basically saying you don't want to be judged by everybody. That's the
Yeah.
worst that will happen. Is
I
that
think
everybody
that's
will kind of be like, yeah. What's fascinating about that is like I get that fear, and I totally think it's a fear that I had too, and I still have. There's still everybody has that fear. But then when you just think about that, somebody who would judge you, do you care whether or not they think?
Well, wait a
you know
second.
what I'm saying?
Now you're 27 years old. What about when you're 35 or 40 years old, and then you're dancing the same?
It's the same thing. I think it's
So
the same
you're
thing.
you're thinking you're gonna be able.
You know what's
I'll be
funny
the
about
one on
that?
the sideline laughing at you, going, "Hey, see this guy? Like I'm there with you. And see this guy? Look at this guy out there."
Think about this though. It's funny though because every time there is always one guy in every dance club that normally I go to. He's like probably in his 60s, like
Mhm.
old gentleman, but he's got a suit on and he's
Yeah.
dancing and like he's having a good time. And I'm like, thank God, like that you could still be that age and not worry so much about fitting in and being like in the right place. Don't get me wrong. There's creeps.
Just even having that realization means that you're acknowledging that he's in the absolute wrong place. Like,
Well, for what society, like you would say, like that people would be like, what are you doing here? This
Yeah.
is, that sort of like, yeah, what are you doing here? Is silly. What are you doing
Yeah, but
here?
you know
Is
what?
this is your club?
here's the thing. I'll tell you, like, yes, it's this like hopeful whatever that you're thinking with that, but I'll tell you why that guy's there. He's looking to prey on the young little honeys.
And
That's
if
what it is.
Oh, and they love it.
They do not love
They
it.
love
That
it.
guy's not going home.
I guarantee you. If you see it, okay, now if he's being a creep, no, absolutely. If he's going out there and he's touching girls, making
Yeah.
moves, and you're like, obviously nobody's gonna like him. But if he's really just out there having a good time, I've seen it so many times where gorgeous tens want to dance with him because
That's
they think
right.
it's so awesome.
Or funny.
Either way,
Like laughing
they're not
at
laughing
him.
at him though while they dance
I
with him.
don't know about that.
I don't think they're laughing. If they were laughing at him, they could stand away and like judge. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
to
like
go
giving-
dance with somebody does not mean that you're judging them.
It's
You're
like
having a
giving
good time
prom
with them.
king to. It's like giving prom king award to special.
It could be. I mean, that's up to them to decide. I see it
But
as
like-
like their body language is not saying like, "Ha, look at this idiot behind me. He thinks he's gonna get me." It's not that. It's just about like they're having a good time because they're like,
Right.
"Wow, this guy's like free. He doesn't give a shit."
Or maybe it's
You know what I'm
because it's like he's so far out of their league. It's like dancing with a gay guy. There's no.
Could be.
risk.
I mean, obviously there are reasons other, and they could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But-
So I think it's always it's great, but where were we going with that? Oh, the idea of people like. I think that's interesting because that's what I'm like looking for when I go out dancing by myself. Is I want to confront that sort of like, ooh, I know that those people right there are looking at me like, what a weirdo. What is this guy doing? I kind of want to go to that place because that's the place where you get the most liberty. Because when you basically, I'm trying to think of a good metaphor. It's like basically putting yourself in a situation where normally you should feel ashamed, embarrassed, you should stop, you should fall back in line.
Yeah.
But you willingly decide that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to basically say, I don't care at all what you think about me. Like completely just shut that off in my brain. Everybody has that voice. Like you should care what they think about you. They think you're weird. You shouldn't do this. Just completely shut that voice off and just live your life and just do it.
That's,
It's
that's,
a
I think
metaphor.
that's so interesting because this
Mhm.
is the difference between you and me. I would say I'm much more of a people person. I want to be around people all the time. And I would say that you're less like that. You want to be more. You have a lot of time that you want to be by yourself, and I don't really have a lot of time that I want to be by myself.
Right.
And what's funny is like what I'm pushing towards is different than what you're pushing towards. Is you want to be like self-sufficient and not need other people or whatever, and not worry about what other people think and stuff. And what I want to get better at is like blending in with groups better and being more social in big groups and stuff. It's just interesting. Like I think it just says a lot more about what kind of people we both are. You know, because I literally have no, like I just think like why would I ever need to be self-sufficient or like not self-sufficient. I can see why I be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like I'll always have people that I'm leaning on and working with and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like, I'll never need to be by myself. But I don't know.
And I don't mean like that I'm going to be a hermit and completely cut everybody out of my life. I just mean more like I hear what you're saying though. Yeah, I'm much more introverted in that I like to process my thinking internally. So once in a while I do like to share if I have something really bothering myself. Like I'll call you or I'll call friends, family, whatever.
Or we'll have a podcast.
We'll have a podcast and share it with the internet. But sometimes it's important for me to like verbalize and vocalize my thinking because then you can kind of come to new conclusions about it. But yeah, for the most part, I like to be internal, I guess, with a lot of the things that I process and stuff.
Yeah.
And not that I'm not relying on people, and I am. There's definitely, you know, we need humans. We need other people in our lives. That's the only way. Like, if you had nobody else in your life would just, you'd be dead. There'd just be nothing to share with people. There'd be nothing to experience, nothing to share. So, yeah, but I hear what you're saying, though. I'm definitely more, I don't know. It's kind of like, I almost kind of think, and maybe this sounds crazy, but I actually think that my relationships get stronger as I get more self-sufficient. Which sounds like, what? Like, why would you, as you're getting more, you know, not worrying so much about
like
what they
do.
do.
New relationships or relationships you already have?
Every relationship, new, old, everything. I think all of them they get stronger because I think what happens is that I start to kind of get the confidence to say like I am who I am and like I know what I deserve and I know what I want, so I can be more honest with people and just say this is what we were talking about before about like with girls and stuff about how I feel so much. I can talk to girls a little bit more easier now about like this is what I want from you and I'm not interested in this or I am interested. Or let's not worry about expectations for the future. Let's just enjoy it right now. And whatever, if we want to hang out more, we'll hang out more. And if we don't, if things fall apart, that kind of thing. So I think it makes it better in that, like, I'm not going to. I think I was always falling victim to people pleasing before.
Right.
Shit I didn't want to do, people I didn't want to see, that kind of thing. Like you know, you have these called quote unquote charity friends. A lot of people have them in their lives, where they see you as such a great friend, you don't see them as quite the same. Feeling like you have to put time into somebody that you're like, why am I doing that? Like, is this out of pity? I have pity friends? Like, that's not fair to them because that's not honest to them. It's not fair to you because you're wasting your time. So that's what I mean as far as being self-sufficient, that you have the confidence just to say, I know what I want in life and I can get it and I can be upfront with people. At the same time, you reap what you sow. If you don't put in the friendships, you're not going to get anything back. You know, if you're not putting anything into those relationships, obviously, if you're not putting any effort out, it's not going to come back to you. So I admit that. So there's got to be times where you do need to, even if you don't really want to, you got to put something out, or else it's not going to come back to you. So I don't know.
So okay, so finish the date.
So anyways, the longest story ever. So basically, we got about half hour into sitting down, her complaining about the music, thinking the music sucks. My favorite song of all time right now from a DJ known as Cascade called "Move for Me" came on, and that's like just my drug. When that song comes on, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm dancing. I'm going to the floor. I'm going. So anyways, and this was maybe after 15 minutes of me like tugging her and saying, come on, let's go dance, let's go dance. She's like, no, she's being shy. And at that point, I said, all right, this is my song. I gotta go. So one last time I grabbed her hand and she really pulled back. She's like, no. And she almost was like, kind of offended that it even was that forceful. Like, come on, this is, I was like, all right. So I just walked off and I said, I'm going to go dance. So, you can come if you like or not. And I was like, I kind of put my hands up. I was like, I'm sorry, but I got to do this. I'm a slave to the song. And also kind of what I'm saying by doing this is like, that's more fun than you. Like, that's a lot more fun than doing this. Like, you just complain about how you're not having a good time. I'd rather just move, So I went out and danced, and literally just 30 seconds later, she joined me because she felt uncomfortable being at this booth by herself.
She's by herself.
Yeah, she's by herself.
She could be by herself with you on the floor or by herself at the table.
Exactly. So she finally comes, and then of course on the dance floor it's nonstop. I don't like this song. I can't really get into this. And she's doing that little two-step thing that's not really dancing, but she's moving. She's faking it, So, anyways, and then a couple times I tried to get close to get a little bit more intimate with her, and she just wasn't like responding to it, so I just stopped. I was like, okay, well then we're just gonna dance on our own, and that's cool. But we were facing each other, but it wasn't like, you know, bumping and grinding or anything like that. And then
the nerve.
The nerve. I took her out. Anyways, we get off the dance floor. Maybe 30 minutes later, we go upstairs. There's this kind of smokers patio lounge, and we see all these singles there. And I just made the comment of, man, isn't it funny? You got like, you know, there were like 8 single girls all huddled around this fire. You had 4 guys to the left, 4 guys to the right, and nobody's talking to each other. Like, you know, you got all these girls. If only like somebody would just break the gap a little bit, like maybe somebody would find somebody that they're interested in. And then you got 8 and 8. It's like all right here. And she took that as like, you know what, I need to tell you that this isn't a good place to take somebody on a date. It's like, interesting. Why do you think that? She's like, well, just like what you said, this is a place you go to meet people. You don't take somebody you already know here.
Right.
It's like, okay. And then I you know, my blood was just boiling because I'm like, you've been complaining all night. You don't like the music. You didn't like the environment. You know, you didn't really want to dance. And now you're kind of telling me that I made a poor choice in where I brought you. So I'm like, okay. So I just basically said, well, I don't see it that way. I see this as a cool place that has good music, good environment. It's somewhat classy for Hermosa. I mean, Hermosa's not a classy city, but it's for Hermosa, it's decent. And yeah, it's just a fun place to be. And at that point, I just decided, you know what, I'm just not having a good time. I also have a say in this, and I just said, why don't we call it a night? You know, I'll drive you back to your car. And she was a little bit shocked. I think she hit it well, but I think her reaction was like, she wasn't expecting that, I don't think.
Right.
But I didn't want to, like, I wasn't trying to be like, oh yeah, bitch, I'll end the date. Like, I wasn't trying to be that way, but I was really just trying to say, listen, if you're not having a good time, I'm not having a good time having you here. Then I'll drive you back to your car. Isn't that fair? And she said, you know, okay, that's fine. So drove her back and got out of the car, gave her a hug, and then I literally drove right back to the same club and ended up dancing and met some other girls and we're having a good time and stuff. So, but it felt like good. It felt really good to be like, I have a say in this too. Right. I know that you're gorgeous, and I know that normally like you have all the power in this, but sometimes you gotta be like, nah.
It's just so funny because I know that on my dates I don't have a say in it. I just don't have that. I will marry her, you know, like
to
avoid having to have the discussion you just had.
That's great.
I could never. I don't think I could do that. I'm just too.
What are you afraid of?
I'm just too agreeable. I'm too like not. I can be.
There's a word for that even.
What's that?
Pussy whipped.
Oh man!
I don't want to bring it out.
Diagnosis is in.
Diagnosis is in. Let's dig, dude. Let's dig into this. No, I don't mean to insult you. I don't think that's the case. But there is something to that, though.
There is definitely something to that.
There's power, man.
I just I'm so what's the word? I'm like I'm not agreeable a lot. I put my foot in my mouth constantly.
Right.
So it's not that I'm agreeable. I just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I guess is a big part of it.
Right.
Like I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older, telling people how I actually feel. But it's like even you were saying like, oh, you're so great at handling awkward situations.
Right.
That's because I'm playing along with it so that it doesn't feel awkward.
That's what I mean, though.
And that's
like
the thing,
you
like,
smooth the transition into like something you can laugh at and have a good time with. That's what I mean. You're good.
So I'm like, I'm always trying to make the best of it, but I don't. Like a lot of times it's more work than it seems like.
To you.
To me.
Got it.
It's more work on the inside to me to make this feel fun or comfortable or whatever. And I'm like working buttonholes like this on dates and stuff to make it like comfortable, and it's like, man, it's just like so much work that I just assume not do it a lot of times.
So like on a really good date, how many awkward moments are there? Like a really good date where you're just
a really
like,
good date doesn't have any awkward.
None? Okay.
Like basically what I need is someone that can at least carry their own weight.
Sure.
In a one-on-one interaction. And most of what I find is like I'm carrying my weight and her weight and still like keeping the
and it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's way too much work, yeah.
So like,
and that's not give and take. That's not a give and take relationship. That's I'm giving. Fuck, like you gotta give me something back. Like, give me some energy, give me some wit, give me some comebacks. Like you gotta give me something to work with here.
Right.
You're talking to like a wall, basically.
Well, I think,
you know?
I don't know if it's it does seem like pretty girls, like girls that have heard from a very young age, they're just so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they don't have to like develop any personality on top of it. I don't know what that's about.
Well, why would you? If you have guys knocking down your door because you're gorgeous, there's no like mechanism or need to develop like a mind because that's not necessary to reproduce. You don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like I think scientifically, like biologically, I don't think that like if you are always given that attention and focus when you're a kid about like, oh, you're gorgeous and you're gonna attract so many men into your life, and you see that like every day. You get 10 guys coming up to you and talking to you. Yeah, and you don't really have to have anything to say. You don't really have to, because you know that all the effort is going to be put in on their end as far as like the mental, stimulation and stuff. So it makes sense. It's sad because it does. I think it does rob a lot of people. That sort of like vanity when you're young robs you of your intellectual curiosity later in life, because it takes away that need to like, all right, I got to be interesting. If I'm not interesting, then what am I doing? Just a piece of meat. Like I have nothing to say. I have nothing to contribute. So, but I find it's funny, like the prettier girls are, I find that actually, like, I think my game is better with prettier girls, because remember that one time we went out one time, and I don't mean by better, but I mean that like
better.
It's
is it worse with pretty girls?
It's easier. It's easier. Okay, it's so easier because I know where pretty girls are coming from.
Right.
They're expecting. I know what pretty girls expect. That's the thing. I know exactly what you're expecting me to do. You're expecting me to just fall head over heels for you and just be like, oh, you're so gorgeous and all that stuff. And you think that I'm going to fall for your spell. That's what I think pretty girls expect from men, because that's what they get every day.
Right.
So to me, it's easier to see right through that. And like, I know how to stand out to that kind of a girl. I know exactly how to stand out, which is basically, whatever. Everybody's pretty. There's a lot of pretty girls here.
But the thing is, with you, it's not an act. You're actually, like, I've seen.
No, it's true.
You're actually like a little bit pissed off at him for being pretty. It's like, oh, bitch.
I just. It is, you know what, though, it's a turnoff, though. It's a turnoff to you, right? If you see a girl that knows she's pretty and flaunts it. Is that a turnoff?
I do like pretty girls.
Yeah, but when you see that, you're going to be great for them, dude. But
no, but, yeah, I mean,
beauty is common, though, right?
Yeah, it is.
A lot of pretty girls.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of attractive ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like, it's a turnoff in that
That's funny.
it's a turnoff in that it makes me feel like, if a girl makes me feel like insignificant or somehow less valuable than her, it's not a turnoff. It actually pisses me off. So I don't know what you call that. But.
Yeah, that's her being silly.
No, but I mean, like, it definitely like turns me off to the idea of like being with her.
Right.
But I still have like a lot of wiring that says like relationship. Even if I'm not necessarily looking for a relationship all the time. When I meet somebody, I'm always like, I always find myself trying to file them away of like girlfriend, wife, like where does this person fit long term? Like I'm not, I don't have any. I missed the boat on this. I think a lot of guys have it in them where they can just look at a girl and say, I just want to have sex with you. I just want to use your body to get off with. I don't have that. I like. Prostitute would never ever appeal to me in a million years. Cause it's like a lot of people use prostitutes and stuff. I don't get that at all. I don't have any part of me that has that drive. Right. I'm always like attracted to the emotional part. And actually a lot of times I'll meet somebody that I'm not necessarily attracted to in the beginning, and then as I develop this more emotional connection with them, then suddenly I become physically attracted to them, also because of the emotional part.
Right.
But I don't know.
But you're saying so that you've never been interested in somebody for just a sexual relationship?
Now let's be real here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You used to be real. You're basically saying that you won't tell them that, but you do feel that way.
Yeah, I've had people that I've been just physically attracted to.
As we all have.
Yeah. But I'm saying that like I don't like, even when I meet somebody that I'm physically attracted to. Like, remember you were talking about the lies that we tell ourselves? Like, I'm like, well, she was probably just being like that because of, because she's tired.
Sure.
She must be very considerate, because look how beautiful she is.
Right, exactly.
You're
almost like dogging yourself at some point. You're like, well, I was kind of being a jerk, so, maybe I was too forceful. You're totally making all excuses.
Yeah, so, but no, I mean, it's never, like, okay for me to just see someone as a massive life-size pocket pussy. You know what I mean? Like, that's never like okay in my mind. I've had.
So how do you deal with that then? If you meet somebody that you're like, what, mentally we're not there, but physically you're there, you're in the game. How do you deal with it?
Right now, at this stage of my life, I probably walk away. I think you'd know better than I would. You've watched me go through it all. But
well, I don't know. Like, okay, for this girl, let's talk about the one with the boyfriend in jail. If there was no boyfriend in jail and if she lived right down the street from you, how do you think you would handle that?
Well, then there's no problem.
Right. But are you interested in her for more than just a physical? Were you kind of did you guys have a mental connection at all?
I feel like you have to have like some sort of connection to begin with, and either that connection will begin being an emotional connection, and then it will develop into a physical, or it'll start out as a physical connection that eventually you build an emotional connection. I think that, and sometimes you have both. Like you see them and you're attracted to them, and then you meet them and you're also emotionally connected.
Right.
And those are the good ones. But like you always have one or the other to begin with,
right?
And the other one can develop later. So
it's always best to just not have any sort of like expectations of what will happen. You're just like, you know what? Just on some level, I'm attracted to you,
right?
And that's all we're going with for right now. Who knows what this is going to mean? Doesn't mean anything. It just means that I'm attracted, and if you're attracted too, then let's hang out. And if I want to spend time with you, then we will spend more time together. And if you want to spend more time with me, vice versa.
I guess that's the task with someone that you're physically attracted to. That you're just working so hard. To see, like, I think I can have an emotional attachment to her. I think I can be, like, maybe I can learn to laugh at her stupid jokes, or you know what I mean? Like, maybe I can learn to like, can I put up with this? Like, is putting up with this worth fucking this?
Right.
That's basically what the whole like.
Right. That's your risk risk profit sort of ratio right there.
So, and then and obviously like I always think of it like NBA Jam. Remember how you could like build your own characters? And you had like so many bars that you could work with. And,
right.
If you made him like really good at 3-point shots, suddenly his
everything else
his passing abilities go down as his 3 points go up. But if you put, let's say you want good passing abilities and 3-point shots, now suddenly his dunking goes down. And like, or if you want everything up, then everything comes down. Like that's the way I always think of dating. Like if she's really hot, suddenly she doesn't need. I mean, she still needs to be good at like dealing with other people. Or, like, she needs to like be good with your family or like, be a nice person or whatever. But she doesn't have to be quite as nice. Whatever.
That's fascinating.
And it's just weird. Or like if she's not not attractive physically, she better be damn good in the other attributes or whatever. Right. So it goes both ways, but.
Yeah, it's true though. But I mean, we are men. But I think that was also the point of my story too. Was that like it was fine. It was really liberating to not be like beating myself. Because even before I went on the date with this girl, I mean, you ever been on like when you're about to go on a date, you kind of spend that hour before you meet up, and you're just kind of like not doing anything. If you paralyzed because there's a lot of anxiety about what's going to happen. I mean, when I'm really like kind of a little bit nervous about meeting somebody or whatever, because I'm really interested, I can't just be like making music and working and doing email and I'm like, oh yeah, it's time to go on the date. I can't do that. Like I'm just paralyzed because I'm just anticipating this thing to happen. So for an hour or two before the date, I'm just sitting there like just watching YouTube, just kind of like, all right, is it almost time? Not yet, not yet. So I'm just kind of waiting for it and just feeling so silly after the whole date. Like wow, like all that effort and like all that getting ready, all that mental like paralysis over this. Like, just because she was attractive. Just because that was it. And I knew it beforehand. I knew all this beforehand. But like I was saying, I was making excuses that, I'll give it another shot. I'll do it again. But it was the same thing. It's like, I think the triumph story was that, like, I know what I deserve. I know what I want. And so if you're not going to give me what I deserve or what I want, and I'm not interested, then I can have a say, too. It's like, that's the stereotype that men will just take whatever. Like, if it's around and it's attractive, we'll hit anything. It doesn't matter, And so...
And I think that used to be the case. I think now with hookup culture...
What, like in Stone Ages?
No, I mean, I think like even in our parents' era.
For some people.
I think they kind of took what they could get.
Some people.
And I think nowadays with hookup culture, like you don't even need to be in a relationship anymore to have sex. Like you can, or to, whatever you're going to do. People don't call blowjobs and handjobs sex, but whatever you want to do. Like, you don't have to be in a relationship for that anymore, where I think once upon a time you kind of did have to be in a relationship. And so now men are also, like, it used to be like this analogy of like women are the guardians of the crop, of the fields, and that the men are the farmers and they're trying to sow their seed everywhere. And like, I don't think that's the case anymore necessarily. Like, it is for some men, but I think a lot of men are actually saying no to women that otherwise want it. And I don't know I can't imagine that happened 50 years ago.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. It seems like it would be backwards and stuff, but I don't know. I think that's for better or for worse. I mean, whatever. People's own decisions are their own, but I think that's a positive thing because we're pussy whipped, man. Men are pussy whipped, dude. We are there's a lot of power, like especially when it comes to dating and it comes to relationships and stuff. I mean, I don't know, in my personal life, just seeing like the men that I know that are involved in like serious relationships and shouldn't have said that on the podcast. Not any of my close friends or anybody, but you know,
you've seen me go through it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Seen
I've been there too. I'm not saying this is like,
you know what, that's
I'm not
part
judging.
of, like,
I've done it too.
Yeah, I mean that's part of being in a relationship. Unfortunately, is that a lot of times you don't get to do everything that you want to do because you have plans. Oh, we're going to dinner with Susan tonight. Oh, I don't know. Susan and I are going to do whatever. I don't know who Susan is, but you know that's. But anyway, so it's funny though. Like I went on one online date and I met the girl. Like her photos were all like, you know, she looked fine, whatever. She looked good enough. Whatever. I met her, and no kidding, it was like her whole face was melting off of her soul. Her eyes all sagged and her whole skin, and you're just going like, huh? I mean, maybe I guess, because one of the pictures was her like.
You're trying to how did that happen?
How did you make that look like that?
Pictures from above always look better.
One of these pictures was her like laying on a log, like with her head back or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe that like pushed her skin like ran back up towards her forehead or something.
Gravity evened her out a little bit.
I mean that sort of thing. Like I never went on another online date. I told that girl that I moved out of the country. Sorry, I'm moving out of the country here.
Wow.
And but somehow, like, she texted me a couple times after I was supposedly out of the country, and
I forgot that you said that.
No, I was just figuring like she'd probably like ask me how she was getting my text, and I was going to tell her that I had the international plan. That I could
keep that lie going. Costanza.
Like I could never tell her like, listen, you know, like you don't look anything like what you said you looked like, and like I'm just really not attracted to you, and you know I could never tell her that, and like it wouldn't.
You don't have to say that though.
That was the only reason. Like I didn't have any emotional.
You're not interested, right?
I didn't have any emotional connection with her at all because I didn't know her.
Right.
So really, all I had was a physical connection, and then I didn't even have that. So I literally had nothing. I mean, it makes you feel like, for one thing, it made me feel so vain because like here I wasn't attracted to this person. I'm thinking if I had met her at a bar or at a party or whatever, it would have been different because A, I would have had the option of like going up and talking to her or not.
Right.
Or B, I would have been able to maybe establish an emotional connection first, and then the physical wouldn't have been as important. But like, just from that, like literally, like the only reason that I wasn't interested in her was that I wasn't physically attracted to her.
Right.
And I just felt so vain, and I never wanted to do online date again.
Oh man, that's silly.
So.
But that was one though. I mean, they do that though. A lot of people misrepresent themselves, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not for me, I think. For now, at least.
But you could just say to somebody, I'm not interested, because that's really the truth. I'm not interested.
I
didn't feel any chemistry.
Every single... breakups for me?
Chemistry is a great word, by the way, before you continue. Chemistry can include sexual chemistry. It can include emotional chemistry.
That's a great idea.
Chemistry is anything that feels like there's something between us. And when you say that I don't feel any chemistry, you're basically saying, not attracted, I'm not interested, nothing going on there, anywhere. No blood flowing anywhere in my body when I talk to you.
Arrow in my quiver.
There you go.
I can use all the help I can get in this department.
That's a nebulous one, but it is direct though. It's saying I'm not interested. I didn't feel any chemistry, and at that point she says, "Okay, well I'm just curious. Like, what was it about it that you're not really interested?"
Yeah, and that's
then
what
you say, "I'm not physically attracted to you." She asked for it.
Oh, mama, no way.
Why not?
I couldn't. I don't think I should do that.
What is she gonna do? You think you have that much power over her life?
Doesn't matter.
You're just one dude that she dated.
Well.
You think you're the first person that says I'm not physically attracted to you?
Yes. Who tells people that?
I do.
Has anyone ever told you I'm not physically attracted to you?
No, but I've had people say I'm not interested or I don't think it's working out. And I don't. But see, here's the thing: if they ask, okay, you can ask, but asking is kind of silly because if somebody just says I'm not interested in hanging out with you, you should just be like, all right, cool, I get it. You don't need to find out. It's like that. I mean, that also goes back to my self-reliance thing of like. If somebody's saying they'd rather not spend time with me, why would I want to dig into that? I mean, other than like if it was like a real close person, I was like, man, did I do something? Like I want to make sure that it wasn't me. If there's something that I did, please let me know. Like I'd really like to know. But I totally respect that you don't want to see me. I'm not trying to like, counteract that. If you really don't want to see me, I'm not trying to make
I guess there's
hang out
this
with
myth that like you should everyone should want to hang out with you. And if someone doesn't want to hang out with you, then
why do you think that? Is that true?
I don't know.
It's definitely not true.
Yes, it is. It has to be.
Because there's so many people you don't want to hang out with.
I know, that's true.
So it goes for you too. It goes for everybody. It's like so silly. That's what those myths are just weird. Like, why do we have the stupid myths? We're still good. We got time.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's fascinating. I just think that it's like, but you also saying that like I'm just so worried about hurting their feelings. It also think about what that's saying about you. That you think you have that much power over somebody that would like destroy their self-esteem.
I just even think like if somebody.
You don't have that power.
I don't know. Like
you know.
The thing is that usually when I'm like if I'm breaking up with someone else, they're obviously more interested in me than I am in them. Otherwise, they'd be breaking up with me. So when I'm the one pulling the trigger on that, like I just think like I always think like, man, if somebody told me like, hey, like I'm just not feeling it with you, yeah, that wouldn't affect me that much. But if I was into them, then it would probably affect.
It does suck. Rejection sucks.
And like,
absolutely, man.
So I don't know.
I don't mean it. Yeah, and I don't mean to paint this as like, oh, it's easy. You just say that and it's all done. No, it sucks, man. When I've been rejected, we've all been rejected by people that we were interested in, and it really, really hurts and it really sucks. But dude, you get over it. You get over everything. You can have a wife for 20 years and she dies on you. You get over her too. Shit, you get over everybody. Yeah, I don't know. You even made that comment at one point about how tightly knit we feel human relationships are, but really when you tear them apart for just a little while, you get over people.
I think that's I forget where I heard that. The human relationships are the strongest. They're like the strongest fiber there is, but at the same time they're so precarious because you throw in like 6 months of long distance or something like that, and like it just falls apart. It's like you don't work at it. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like you and every time you learn, and I think that's kind of what I'm starting to get to the idea too. Like I want to date a lot. I think a lot of people have this stigma like you shouldn't date a lot. Like you should really just, for some reason, like dating a lot is like this bad thing or something. I've heard that from people that like, why are you dating?
Well,
why are you going on all these empty states?
People are still asking. So what's your number? How many people have you been with? None of your goddamn business. How about that?
Yeah. There's ways to get around that weird question.
I always find this in relationships. I always find the girl is like trying to just shower me with like all the dicks that have been inside her, and like, oh yeah, this is how many guys I've been with, and oh yeah, that reminds me of this one time that I was getting railed by a 2x4.
Who are you dating?
and I'm going, I don't want to know, and they're going, tell me about you. No, I'm not telling you, and it's like this backwards thing where I'm not telling them anything, and I don't want to hear anything, and they're telling me everything, and they want to hear everything. It's like, holy moly, I don't understand. You never had this? I always have. I'm not talking. I haven't been with people that are.
I haven't. I squashed it right away. But I know what you're saying though.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable how many women think that this is something that you want to hear about. I told a girl one time, what part of you thinks that I want to hear about a 10-inch dick that you've had inside you? And this is what happened. She goes, no, it's just that, and she starts in with the story again, like, oh, it was just so big, and I'm like, whoa, like as if she's saying like, listen, if you just let me finish, you'll see why it's so important for you to know.
You just start seeing it.
And she did finish with me like going la 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 la, and the end of the story was we broke up because it was just too big. I'm like, okay, yeah. So thank you.
Got it.
Yeah, no, it's all clear now. I'm in retrospect, I'm glad that I have this knowledge now. And, like I don't understand like what. There's so many women.
That could be a game too. That could be a game.
This is what I've.
In fact, I'm pretty sure it's a game.
I don't think it's a game. And this is what I've learned about this. There's this nagging curiosity that we all have of like knowing like has she had a train run on her before? Has she been in a threesome? How many people has she been with? Like were they better?
Which for you is a negative, for me is a positive.
Yeah.
The threesome part.
Anyways. Were they better than me? Like that kind of thing. Like there are all these like there's this nagging curiosity that we have, and in my experience, I've found that there's basically nothing good can come of that knowledge. It will only make you feel to know like how many people like your partner has been with, that sort of thing. Like I've come to realize like you know what, this is the person that I enjoy this person, I like this person, I love this person, whatever, and everything that has happened in their life that has gone into creating this person that I love is something that I think is a positive thing. So even though like I don't want to hear about how many people they've been with or like. I don't want to hear about it. It doesn't mean that I'm not glad that it happened. Like I'm glad that it happened to him. I just don't want to hear about it, or because I think it's because I'm so visual. When I hear a girl talking about like sitting on someone else, like I'm just imagining.
Right, you see it.
Yeah. I basically see myself
Right.
doing that, and then I see him doing that
Right,
to
right.
her, and her having the same joy from him as from me.
Got it.
And it's like, well, wait a second, what do you need me for? There's just like this stupid insecurity that comes out.
Got it. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I've talked to a lot of guys about this. I always tell them, don't ask. What, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever asked. There was one girl who tried to pull. That's why I think it was a game. There was this girl that pulled this on me one time. We had hooked up, and she had, like, I think she texted me like a couple days afterwards, and she said, "Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. It was fun. Like, you know, you're like my number two." I was like, I just didn't know what that meant.
Game, yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean number two?" She said, "Well, there was. I mean, I don't think she said that. She said something like, you know, I had this other ex-boyfriend, and he was just crazy. He was kinky. He was wild and all stuff." But she's like, "But you were really good too. But he was, you know." And then she said something like, "Maybe one day you'll get to my number one," or something like that.
Wow.
And I just kind of that's kind of a weird way to look at things. That like you're ranking people, and I just kind of put it back on her. Are you ranking people? Like I was like, because I just told her in my worldview, I don't rank people. I just see every person that I connect with as a unique experience to that person, and I obviously will connect with you in a way different way than I would connect with another woman and that kind of thing.
Right.
So I just kind of put it back on her, like, really? You put people in ranking systems, huh? And then she immediately was like backtracking, like, no, I mean, no, obviously, because it makes you seem so like vain that you'd put people in those like categories. So a lot of times, if you just put it back on them for that kind of a thing, they almost have to like recant it. Like, no, I mean, I didn't mean that. And you're basically saying, listen, I'm not falling for that.
Right.
I'm not going to try to like win number one spot for you.
Right.
If you don't like hanging out with me, don't hang out with me. You see what I can bring. I bring my A game. If you don't like the A game, go get it somewhere else. Like, you're free to go anywhere you want.
Listen, this is basically as good as it's going to get. So
as good as I get. So if as good as I get is number two for you, then go to number one. It's like simple as that.
Right.
And why are you texting me? You know?
Right.
Yeah. Like if I'm still number two for you, why are you texting me and let me know? It's kind of stupid. So. Fascinating stuff, man.
Yeah, I really don't understand like why. You've never asked. I mean, I asked when I first started dating.
I'm sure when I was younger.
I think my first two girlfriends, I probably asked how many people they'd been with, and at that time it was like, you know, one or two or something. And mine was like just then.
That's when it counted.
Yeah, that's when it counted, right?
That's when we cared.
And like,
I found that like
literally, I found that nothing good. I just got myself in trouble. I learned that real early on. I just got myself in trouble is all that happened. You know, like suddenly she's really insecure. I have to pick up the pieces. She's imagining me with someone else and like all this crap. And like, and I was doing the same thing. I'm just imagining her. Like I was with a girl that had never been with anyone, and ever. No one had even held her hand before. And I was so jealous of what little things she had done. She made out with somebody and like some stupid little things. I was so jealous of that. It was just like so stupid.
Right.
You know? Like, what it made me realize is if you're insecure, you'll find things to be insecure about, like in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, I don't know. At first, I started just imagining with like the first girls that I was with, that I didn't ask them how many people they'd been with. I just was like on such high alert, like, oh God, she must have had trains run on her. And I'm just like, you know, and I'm imagining how many people in her like biggest orgies and all these sorts of things and like people dumping it on her face and just this disgusting stuff that I'm imagining with the person that I love, you know, and eventually it just got so exhausting to imagine all these scenarios and stress out from them that I think it was like a muscle that that spasms,
right.
And then it finally just releases, and that's where I'm at now. Like, you know what? Because I finally have come to grips with the idea that, like, yeah, I'm glad that she went through all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because the last thing you want is somebody that didn't have a couple trains run on them, and then they wake up at 50.
Trains. Like everybody has to have a train run. So nobody can have like an intimate moment with somebody else. It's got to be just a train.
Yep.
Just choo right through her, dude. Okay.
But you know, the last thing you want is for her to wake up at 50 and wish that she'd done some of that. You know, like, I want them to get that out of their system. I have a lot of that out of my system.
Out of the system.
Yeah. So that yes.
As if you don't want to have trains when you're in your 50s.
I don't want to have trains run on me.
Oh, got it.
But you know, like
not even by two women.
You know, it's funny when I first let's see, when I was younger, I had every intention of like saving my virginity for marriage. Did you ever have that?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, at some point I'm sure I had that sort of like, well, not so much for myself, but kind of the expectation that that was the virtuous
Oh, okay. So I
way to
didn't
go.
know.
I don't know if
My
it
thing was that
internal.
I didn't know my wife yet. I obviously still don't.
Right.
Or maybe I do. She could be hiding under a rock. But no, my idea was that I didn't. I wanted to save something for my wife that I'd never given anyone else. I don't know where I got this idea because my parents definitely didn't give it to me.
Mm.
But this was my plan. I wanted to save myself for her so I could give her this gift of my virginity. And the first time I had sex, I felt awful. I felt like such a failure and like, what can I give her now and all this crap. But at this point in my life, I really feel like if you are lasting that long, there's something wrong with you almost.
You mean
like,
to not have sex till you get married?
Yeah.
Got it.
I think by the time you get married, you're gonna have so many issues around like sex that I don't know. This is obviously based on basically nothing. But I mean, I just feel like, man, like the work that goes into resisting sex, which is such a natural thing in us, like we want this.
Right.
Like if that comes to you, either it comes to you easily or you're able to just resist that for that long. Man, I can't imagine how hard that would be to let go once you finally get married.
Seems like, yeah, and also it's like if it's a natural urge that you're repressing, that doesn't seem healthy.
Right.
It's like if you're always hungry, but you're like, no, eating is for the devil.
Right, exactly.
Can't eat.
Yeah.
You're gonna get anorexic. You're gonna start having eating problems. You're gonna throw up. You know, it's like if you ever suppress anything that comes natural to you, that like kind of like the universe is saying, yeah, this is something that feels good. You should do that. You should be careful. Obviously, you should take precautions, but there are ways to enjoy yourself while also being safe. You know.
Right.
So if you're gonna like squish that for some archaic reason, you know, for some reason that you feel like your virginity is something special, then I don't know. Then I think it is going to manifest itself in other ways.
Not to say that your virginity isn't something special necessarily.
Do you think it's special?
I do. I think that, well, for one thing, it
what does it mean?
Well, I just think you have so few opportunities in your life to love purely, and I think that your best shot at it is when you're young. And I think like I don't know if you remember your first partners or whatever, like just that act alone, you could have done it with a complete stranger and felt connected to them. I think. I mean, don't you feel that way or no?
Wait, I don't.
Like just having when I first started having sex, it was so special to me. And it still is with the right person though. But at that time, just the physical act alone brought out all these like emotions in me that was like so
totally.
special and connecting and bonding. And now like it still does that, but it only does that with the right person. Like if I'm having sex with someone that I like, I don't know, like it's still now like just the act alone. I could have done it. I think probably could have done it at 16 with a stranger that I'd never met before, and then felt this instant bond with them. Yeah. And I don't think that's the case now.
Probably just because our hormones and the sensation was all brand new. So it's like, if anything felt that good for the first time, it doesn't matter who you're with. It's like ecstasy. You know, you must feel like, oh my God, I love all you guys. I mean, I think that's what people talk about ecstasy. Right. Is like you just feel like you love everybody around you, and you're just so bonded, even if you probably just met them. You know. Right. So it's probably that sort of like if you get into any sort of like altered state like that where you feel really good and like everything's just blood's flowing everywhere, then I think you'll
blood's flowing everywhere.
You're hijacked a little bit. Your brain is hijacked. I think I don't think it's really real. I think it's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to equate having like an orgasm to a drug, but it is like an orgasm is like heroin, dude.
Drugs out of your brain.
It's crazy, dude. It's like the highest high you could ever get, and it's like. You put yourself with anybody else, and both you feel that at the same time. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're really not into each other. You just feel perfect around each other. Right. That's the whole idea. That's that funny thing about like when guys will slip out the "I love you" in the middle of sex. Did you ever fall victim to that?
No.
Or be tempted to?
You've done that?
I've been tempted to. I've never said it though. Absolutely. When you're kind of like at that stage where you're maybe like a month or two into like seeing somebody.
Wait a second, I have done that.
You totally get tempted to because you're just this feels perfect and I'm so attracted to you. I just want to say Then you just bite that tongue. You're like, no. I think I'm just like fucking you right now. I think that's all it is. I don't think it's anything else.
Where am I?
You get hijacked. I almost fell victim to that a few times. I mean, I think guys do that, man. But you never done that, huh?
I have.
Or been tempted to. Or you've actually said it?
I have said it.
Oh, totally. That's what I mean. Anyways, and with that note, we should call it a wrap. I think we're at the end here. So thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully we haven't wasted too much of your time. But then again, you press play, so kind of your fault anyway, so.
Get evolved.